Get that door open. We need to check for anyone inside.
Tonight, tragedy struck the home of America's beloved little couple stars, Jen Arnold and Bill Klein. What was once a safe haven of love, laughter, and cherished memories turned into a raging inferno that nearly claimed everything. Jen Arnold's life now hangs in the balance. With 45% of her body severely burned, she has been rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Their family home, reduced to ashes, along with $250,000 in savings, gone in a matter of minutes. This is not just a story about a fire. It is a story about survival, love, and the cruel unpredictability of life. Stay with us as we uncover the heartbreaking timeline of that fateful day and the fight that continues in the hospital ward tonight. Jen Arnold, always meticulous, had just finished preparing a warm breakfast for her children. Bill Klein, her husband, was sipping coffee, scrolling through his phone for the day's schedule. The Florida sun beamed through their windows, painting the walls with golden warmth. It was one of those mornings where life felt steady, where family rhythms played in harmony. Jen smiled as she reminded Bill about a medical paper she had to finish later that week. Bill, always the pragmatic yet supportive partner, joked about needing another cup of coffee before he could even think about productivity. The couple was in their element, strong, resilient, balancing family life with their demanding careers. Little did they know, just hours later, their lives would be engulfed in unimaginable chaos. Because lurking unseen behind the walls of their dream home, danger was already brewing. The clock struck 10:43 a.m. Bill Klein was in the living room, flipping through a few documents while the kids played with their toys. Jen, always multitasking, was upstairs folding laundry, humming softly to herself. It started small. A faint, almost unnoticeable hiss coming from the electrical panel in the garage. A wire, frayed and long overdue for replacement, sparked. For a split second, it glowed red, then erupted into a tiny flame. At first, no one noticed. The house was filled with the ordinary sounds of life. Children laughing, the dishwasher humming, the buzz of a phone vibrating on the counter. But within minutes, that small spark grew into something unstoppable. A thin trail of smoke slipped under the garage door and into the hallway. Bill frowned, sniffing the air. He thought maybe Jen had burned toast earlier, but when he stood, his eyes widened. The smell wasn't of food. It was sharp, chemical, suffocating. "Jen?" he called out, his voice uncertain. "Do you smell that?" Upstairs, Jen paused. She did smell it. Something acrid, something wrong. She placed the folded clothes aside and hurried toward the stairs. But by the time she reached the second step, her heart sank. Black smoke was already curling its way up from below. Then came the sound. A whoosh, loud and violent. Flames leaped inside the garage, racing toward stored boxes, dry wood, and gasoline cans. Within seconds, the fire exploded outward, rushing through the hallway like a predator finally unleashed. Bill grabbed his phone and shouted, "Kids, outside, now." His voice cracked with urgency. He pushed them toward the back door, adrenaline flooding his veins. The children screamed as they stumbled into the yard, their small hands shaking. Jen, still on the stairs, felt heat rise toward her face. It was as if the house itself had turned against them, suffocating, burning, consuming everything she loved. She tried to descend, but the fire was faster. Flames licked the banister, swallowing it whole. The staircase groaned, and smoke filled her lungs. She coughed, choking, disoriented. Bill's eyes darted upward. He saw her silhouette against the smoke, struggling, clutching the railing. "Jen, jump. Get out," he screamed. But it was too late. The fire surged forward, trapping her halfway. For the first time that day, panic turned to terror. Their dream home, their sanctuary, was now a fiery prison. And Jen Arnold was caught inside. Bill Klein's world collapsed into chaos. The sight of his wife trapped on the smoke-filled staircase was every husband's nightmare. His instinct wasn't to think, it was to act. Jen, Hold on," he shouted, coughing as he pulled his shirt over his mouth. The smoke clawed at his throat like invisible fingers, burning every breath. The kids screamed from the backyard, crying for their mother. Bill's heart twisted. He turned back toward the flames. There was no time to wait for firefighters. Every second mattered. He sprinted to the kitchen sink, grabbed a damp dish towel, and wrapped it around his face. It was a pitiful shield, but it gave him the courage to plunge into the smoke. The heat was unbearable. It pressed against his skin, biting, searing. He forced his way through the living room, stepping over crackling embers that had fallen from the ceiling. The fire had already spread across the walls like a living beast, growling and snapping. "Jen," he called again. His voice was hoarse, desperate. Through the haze, he saw her, clinging to the banister, coughing violently, her eyes watery and unfocused. The smoke was disorienting her, dragging her closer to collapse. Bill charged forward, shielding his face with his arm. Each step felt like walking through an oven. He could feel his skin blistering. He ignored the pain. "Take my hand," he cried. Jen reached, trembling. Their fingers brushed, but the fire surged between them, a wall of red and orange fury. Bill gritted his teeth, forced himself through the flames, and grabbed her wrist with all his strength. The skin on his arm screamed with pain, but he didn't let go. With one swift motion, he yanked her down the stairs. The railing collapsed behind them, crashing in a shower of sparks. Jen cried out as flames grazed her shoulder, the heat melting the edge of her sweater. Bill dragged her toward the back door, coughing so violently he could barely see. His vision blurred, his chest ached, and his legs shook. But then, sunlight. They burst out into the backyard, collapsing onto the grass. The children rushed to them, sobbing, clinging to their mother's legs. But the relief was short-lived. Bill glanced at Jen and froze. Her skin was red, raw, blistered. Her breathing shallow. Nearly half her body had been scorched by the inferno. Bill's own arms and chest bore burns too, but he barely noticed. His focus was only on her. "Stay with me, Jen. Please stay with me," he whispered, cradling her as sirens wailed in the distance. The fire had taken their home, but now it was threatening to take her life. The piercing scream of fire engines split the morning air. Neighbors rushed out of their homes, their faces pale with shock as smoke billowed skyward. What had once been a warm, welcoming house was now a burning skeleton. Bill knelt in the backyard, clutching Jen against his chest. Her body trembled with shallow breaths, her skin blistered and raw. He whispered over and over, "Stay with me, Jen. They're coming. Don't close your eyes." Paramedics stormed the yard as firefighters battled the flames. 2 EMTs rushed to Bill and Jen, their movements fast, precise, controlled. "Critical burns," one muttered. "We need to move now." Bill's arms resisted as they tried to lift her. His instinct screamed to never let go, but the paramedic's firm voice broke through. "Sir, if you love her, let us work. Every second counts." With shaking hands, Bill finally released his grip. The paramedics placed Jen onto a stretcher, strapping her down gently but quickly. An oxygen mask slid over her face. She moaned faintly, her eyelids fluttering. Bill staggered as another medic guided him toward a second stretcher. His arms and chest bore burns, his skin singed, but he refused. "No. Take care of her. I'll ride with her." They relented, letting him climb into the ambulance beside her. Inside, the world turned into flashing red lights and frantic beeps. The paramedic barked orders. "BP dropping. We're losing fluids fast. Prepare IV lines. 45% burns. High risk of shock." Bill gripped Jen's hand, his voice breaking. "Jen, it's me. I'm right here. You're stronger than this. You've beaten everything life threw at you. Don't stop fighting now." Her body twitched, her chest rising unevenly. The medic injected medication, adjusted the IV, and tightened the oxygen mask. "She's slipping." Pushed more fluids. Prep for intubation. Bill's heart pounded in his ears. The flashing lights outside blurred into streaks of color. All you could see was Jen. All you could hear was her faint, labored breathing under the hiss of the oxygen. The ambulance roared through intersections, police cars clearing the way. Every minute felt like an eternity. When they reached the hospital, doors burst open. A team of doctors and nurses swarmed the gurney, rushing Jen into the trauma bay. Bill tried to follow, but a nurse blocked his path. "Sir, you need treatment too. Please, let us help you." He shook his head violently. "No, not until I know she's alive." The nurse's eyes softened. She nodded, then led him to a chair just outside the ER doors. As the medical team disappeared with Jen, the heavy doors slammed shut. Bill was left staring at the cold, sterile hallway. He whispered into the empty air, "Please, God, don't take her from me." The emergency room doors swung closed, leaving Bill Klein stranded in the hallway. His chest heaved with exhaustion, the burns on his arms screaming in pain. But the fire inside him, the fear of losing Jen, was far greater. Inside the trauma bay, chaos reigned. Doctors shouted over each other. Nurses moved swiftly. Equipment buzzed and beeped. Jen lay motionless on the table, her face pale beneath the oxygen mask, her body covered in searing red burns. 45% total body surface area affected. One doctor said firmly, "We need fluid resuscitation now. Prep for intubation." She's tachycardic, heart rate spiking. Bill couldn't hear the details, but he could sense it. Through the glass window, he saw the blur of white coats surrounding his wife. Tubes, IV lines, machines. Her tiny frame looked swallowed by them all. He pressed his forehead to the cool glass. Memories came flooding back. Jen laughing at the dinner table. Jen cradling their children. Jen's voice promising him, "We'll get through anything together." Now together felt like it was slipping away. A nurse approached him. "Mr. Klein, you need treatment for your burns." Bill shook his head, his eyes never leaving Jen. "I don't care. Fix her. Save her." The nurse's eyes softened. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "They're doing everything possible. But you need to stay strong too. She'll need you when she wakes up." Those words cut deep. When she wakes up. Not if. He clung to that hope like a lifeline. Hours crawled by. Each minute stretched into eternity. Bill's phone buzzed relentlessly with messages from family, friends, even producers of their show. He couldn't bring himself to answer. His entire world was in that room. Finally, a doctor stepped out. His face was weary, his expression grave. Bill shot to his feet. "Is she alive? Please, just tell me she's alive." The doctor nodded. "She's alive, but she's critical. The burns cover almost half her body. She's on a ventilator now, sedated. The next 48 hours will be crucial." Bill collapsed back into the chair, tears finally spilling down his face. Alive. Critical. Both words felt like daggers, but at least there was hope. The doctor placed a hand on his arm. "We're transferring her to the burn ICU. It's going to be a long fight. You should prepare yourself." Bill swallowed hard. "I'll be here. Every second. She's not fighting alone." The news spread faster than the flames had. Within hours, the hospital waiting room filled with familiar faces, family, close friends, and colleagues who had rushed to be by Jen and Bill's side. Bill sat slumped in a chair, his shirt singed, his arms bandaged but still trembling with pain. His eyes were fixed on the ICU doors. Every time they swung open, his heart lurched, praying for good news. The first to arrive was Jen's mother. Her face was pale, her hands trembling as she rushed forward. "Where is she? Bill? My baby, where is she?" Bill stood, his throat tight. He tried to answer, but the words choked. He simply shook his head and pulled her into a hug. They clung to each other, their tears mingling, the silence saying more than words ever could. Moments later, Jen's siblings arrived, their expressions a mix of fear and disbelief. The Arnold family had always been strong, bonded, but now their strength was being tested in ways they'd never imagined. "Is she awake? Can we see her?" One of them asked, their voice trembling. Bill wiped his face. She's alive, but she's in critical condition. They've got her in the burn ICU. She's sedated, machines are breathing for her. The words hung in the air like lead. Even the children, too young to understand the full weight of the tragedy, clung to their relatives. Their innocent questions cut deeper than any wound. Is Mommy going to be okay? Bill knelt, wincing at the stain of his burns, and hugged them tightly. She's the strongest person I know. She's fighting really hard right now. And we're going to fight with her. As the hours passed, more visitors arrived. Some brought food no one touched. Others offered whispered prayers in the corners of the waiting room. Colleagues from the hospital where Jen worked appeared, shaken, their eyes red with tears. The waiting room became a place of vigil, an island of grief, fear, and fragile hope. Occasionally, a nurse would step out with brief updates. She's stable for now. We're monitoring her fluid loss closely. There's no change. Each update felt like both a gift and a punishment. A reminder that Jen was still alive, but still on the edge. Bill sat apart at times, staring at the floor, his mind replaying the moment in the house. Her on the stairs, the flames, her reaching for him. He wondered if he had been fast enough, strong enough, if he could have done more. Guilt gnawed at him, even as his burns throbbed under the bandages. But when he looked up and saw the circle of family and friends around him, he realized something. They weren't just here for Jen. They were here for him too. And together, they would endure this storm. By the next morning, the tragedy had left the walls of the hospital and spread across the world. News vans crowded the parking lot. Reporters huddled in the rain, microphones in hand, waiting for updates. The little couple stars, Dr. Jen Arnold and her husband Bill Klein, have suffered a devastating house fire. One reporter announced live. Arnold is now in critical condition after sustaining severe burns. Fans across the globe are flooding social media with prayers and messages of support. Inside the hospital, Bill Klein watched the coverage on a muted television in the waiting room. His stomach tightened. Their private nightmare had become a public spectacle. On Twitter, hashtags like #PrayForJen and #LittleCoupleStrong trended worldwide. Thousands of fans posted photos of Jen with heartfelt captions. She's always inspired us with her strength. She can survive this too. Sending prayers to the entire Arnold Klein family. But the media frenzy wasn't all comforting. Paparazzi snapped photos of Bill as he left the ICU to speak with doctors, his face etched with exhaustion. Tabloid headlines twisted the story, speculating about the fire's cause, questioning their future. One article cruelly highlighted the financial loss. Couple's $250,000, savings destroyed in blaze. Will they recover? Bill felt a wave of anger. Money, property, none of it mattered compared to Jen's life. But he knew the headlines would keep coming, each one heavier than the last. Hospital security tightened. Visitors had to be screened. The family was escorted through side doors to avoid flashing cameras. Even the children, shielded by relatives, sensed the chaos outside. At one point, a reporter shouted across the hospital entrance, "Bill, is Jen going to make it? Do you blame the fire department's response time?" Bill clenched his jaw, ignoring them. He refused to let strangers' questions pull him from his focus. Sitting by Jen's bedside, whispering hope into her ears, willing her to keep breathing. But late that night, when the waiting room finally grew quiet, Bill pulled out his phone. He scrolled through the messages. Thousands of fans, friends, even strangers. Messages of love. Messages of faith. And for the first time since the fire, he allowed himself a small breath of relief. The world wasn't just watching. The world was standing with them. The fire had taken more than just walls and furniture. It had devoured memories, security, and stability. And now, as Bill sat in the hospital cafeteria late one night, the full weight of that reality pressed down on him. When investigators combed through the ashes of the Klein Arnold home, the report confirmed Bill's worst fear. The fire had destroyed not only their possessions, but also the savings Jen had carefully tucked away. $250,000 meant for the children's future and emergencies. Bill stared at the numbers on the insurance forms. His hand shook as he tried to sign, but his mind kept circling back to the truth. The money was gone. That money represented years of sacrifice. Jen had saved every spare dollar from her medical career, every appearance, every speaking engagement. She always said, "We need to be prepared, Bill. Life is unpredictable." And she had been right. But no preparation had been enough for this. The hospital bills were already mounting. Burn IQ care was among the most expensive treatments in the medical world. Each day, Jen remained hooked to machines. The cost soared higher. Bill buried his face in his hands. It wasn't about wealth or status. It was about survival. How could he think about money while his wife's life hung by a thread? And yet, the reality wouldn't go away. Relatives whispered about fundraising. Friends suggested starting a GoFundMe. Fans online had already created hashtags calling for financial support. But Bill hesitated. He wasn't the kind of man who asked for help easily. And Jen, proud and hardworking, would never want to be seen as a victim. Still, late at night, when the hospital grew quiet, the weight crushed him. His arms throbbed from his own burns, his heart ached from fear, and now his mind spun with financial ruin. At one point, he whispered into the dim hospital chapel, his voice breaking, "God, I can handle losing everything. The house, the money, the future plans, take it all. But please, don't take her, not Jen." The silence gave no answer. Only the faint sound of the ventilator down the hall reminded him of the fight still raging on. Bill knew that tomorrow he would need to face lawyers, insurance adjusters, maybe even cameras again. But tonight, in the dark, all he felt was helplessness. While Bill fought battles in the hospital halls, another storm brewed quietly in the hearts of their children. The fire had taken their toys, their bedrooms, their safe space. But worse, it had taken their mother from the dinner table, bedtime stories, and morning hugs. For children, the loss wasn't about numbers or savings. It was about love, presence, and stability. Relatives had stepped in quickly. Jen's mother and Bill's sister took turns watching them, keeping routines as normal as possible. But nothing was normal. At night, the children asked questions no one could answer. Why can't we go home? When is Mommy coming back? Is she hurt? Bill did his best to reassure them, but every time he tucked them into unfamiliar beds, their wide eyes searched his face for truth. And sometimes he didn't know what truth to give. One evening, after a long day at the hospital, Bill returned to see his children drawing at the kitchen table of their grandmother's house. On the paper was a picture of their family, Mommy, Daddy, and the kids, standing in front of their house. But in the corner, bright orange flames reached toward the roof. Bill's chest tightened. He sat beside them, his burned arms aching as he picked up a crayon. "Can I draw with you?" he asked softly. One child looked up. "Daddy, is Mommy going to die?" The room fell silent. Bill's throat burned more than his injuries ever had. He pulled them both close, kissing their hair. "Mommy's the strongest person I've ever known. She's fighting really hard. And we're all fighting with her." The children nodded, but their little bodies trembled against him. They were old enough to understand fear, but too young to carry it alone. At school, their teachers noticed the change. Once cheerful and lively, the kids grew quiet, distracted, their eyes often wandering to the windows as if waiting for someone who never arrived. Other children whispered, "That's the family whose house burned down." Bill worried about them constantly. How much trauma could young hearts endure? How do you shield innocence from flames you can't put out? Late one night, as he drove back from the hospital, Bill whispered to himself, "If I break, they break. I can't let that happen. I've got to be strong. For them, for Jen." The fire had scarred Jen's body, but for the children, it had scarred something invisible, their sense of safety. And it would take more than time to heal it. Days turned into nights, and nights blurred into days. Bill rarely left the ICU. He sat by Jen's bedside, holding her hand gently, whispering stories of their past together, their wedding, their travels, their children's first steps. Sometimes he swore her eyelids fluttered, as if she could hear him through the haze of sedation. But behind the quiet rhythm of the monitors, the medical team knew the brutal truth. Jen's fight was hanging by a thread. One morning, Bill was asked to step into a private consultation room. The sterile white walls made his stomach churn. 3 doctors sat across from him, their faces heavy with the weight of news no one wanted to deliver. "Mr. Klein," one began softly, "your wife is stable at the moment, but her condition is extremely fragile." Bill leaned forward, gripping the table. "Tell me what that means. Don't sugarcoat it." The lead doctor sighed. "Jen has sustained burns over 45% of her body. The risk of infection is dangerously high. Her lungs were exposed to smoke and heat, which complicates breathing. The next 48 to 72 hours are critical. If her body responds well to treatment, she has a chance. If not..." Bill's jaw tightened. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst. "If not what?" he demanded. The doctor hesitated. "If not, her body may shut down. We want to prepare you and the family for all possibilities." Bill felt the world tilt. His throat closed as if invisible hands squeezed it. He slammed his fist against the table, his voice cracking with rage and despair. "No, you don't know Jen. She's a fighter. She's beaten odds her whole life. She's not leaving me. She's not leaving her children." The doctors exchanged glances, their eyes full of sympathy but not promises. "We'll continue everything, every intervention, every medication. But you should spend time with her. Talk to her. Patients in this condition, sometimes they hear more than we realize. Your voice may help her hold on." Bill swallowed hard, tears burning his eyes. He stood slowly, his body trembling. "Then I'll sit by her side every second. I'll remind her why she has to come back." When he returned to Jen's room, the sight broke him anew. Her tiny frame, wrapped in layers of bandages, tubes, and wires keeping her alive. He pulled a chair close, took her bandaged hand in his, and pressed his forehead against it. "Jen, they don't think you can make it, but I know you. You've survived everything life has thrown at you. You're stronger than anyone. Please, baby, don't leave me. Don't leave us." His tears dripped onto her bandages, vanishing into the white cloth. The machines beeped steadily, indifferent to his pleas. But Bill swore her hand twitched ever so slightly. And in that tiny movement, he found the courage to keep believing. While Bill fought his battles in the hospital, something extraordinary was happening outside. The tragedy had touched millions. Fans from every corner of the world. People who had grown up watching the little couple, who admired Jen's resilience and Bill's humor, rallied together. Online, fundraisers appeared overnight. Within hours, donations poured in. Messages flooded social media. "Jen gave us strength when we needed it. Now it's our turn to give it back. No family should go through this alone." The GoFundMe created by close friends broke records, climbing past hundreds of thousands of dollars. Neighbors dropped off meals at relatives' homes. Churches and schools held candlelight vigils, praying for Jen's recovery. At the hospital entrance, flowers piled up. Cards, hand-drawn pictures from children, and banners with hopeful messages lined the walls. The words, "Stay strong, Jen," appeared on posters, t-shirts, even car windows. Bill saw it all one evening as he stepped outside for the first time in days. The crowd of supporters clapped when they saw him, some shouting, "We love you, Bill. Stay strong." For the first time since the fire, he felt the weight on his shoulders lighten just a little. Inside, he returned to Jen's bedside, whispering what he had seen. "Baby, the world is with you. They believe in you. They're fighting alongside us." Though she lay silent, her chest rising with the rhythm of the ventilator, Bill swore her heart monitor ticked just a little steadier when he spoke. The fire had taken so much: their home, their savings, their peace. Jen's body bore scars that would never fully fade. The journey ahead was uncertain, full of surgeries, therapy, and sleepless nights. But in the ashes of tragedy, something unbreakable had emerged. Love, unity, and the resilience of a family that refused to surrender. Bill, scarred himself, vowed to stand by Jen through every step. Their children, though shaken, clung to hope. And the world, millions of strangers, had become an extended family, lifting them up with prayers, donations, and unwavering support. As Bill held Jen's hand one quiet night, he whispered, "Home isn't the walls we lost. Home is us. You, me, the kids. As long as you're here, we can rebuild everything." The machines beeped softly. And in that moment, whether by chance or by strength, Jen's fingers twitched once more, curling weakly around his hand. Bill's eyes filled with tears. For the first time since the fire, he smiled. The fight wasn't over, but neither were they. And so began the long road, a road paved with pain, hope, and the unshakable power of love. This tragedy reminds us how fragile life can be, how in a single moment, everything can change, but it also shows us the power of unity, love, and resilience. Jen Arnold and Bill Klein's story is not just one of loss, but of survival, of courage, and of a community that stood together in the darkest of times. To the millions who prayed, donated, and supported them, this story belongs to you as well. Because in the end, love is stronger than fire. More update. The little couple Jen Arnold reveals devastating sickness. And Bill Klein abruptly closes pet boutique. Why? Jen Arnold, glad she can walk. What happened? Jen Arnold shares how she's improving lives. I'll explain everything. The little couple Jen Arnold reveals devastating sickness. Member of the little couple Jen Arnold broke the terrible news to her fans via social media not long ago. In her most recent update, the mother of two shared, "With the little couple off the air, fans can only keep up with Jen Arnold's social media for consistent updates." Even though his wife posts to Instagram frequently, Bill Klein rarely does the same. Jen will be providing updates, so fans who are interested in what's going on with Arnold and Klein will have to wait. In a recent social media post, Jen Arnold announced that she and her family from the little couple were looking forward to summer. A little video of Jen's back deck, which she used to share, showed her looking out over her backyard and the many trees that flank it. With all the reclining chairs scattered about, the area exudes an excellent summer atmosphere. Jen Arnold has been spending her free time lately fostering Zoey Klein's affinity for animals. Not only do the Arnolds and Kleins have 4 children of their own, but they also have a large number of pets. Zoey Klein is taking care of all the rabbits that Jen has uploaded videos of. All indications are that Zoey Klein has warmed up to their many furry family members. Many viewers of the little couple believe that Zoey Klein could one day become a veterinarian due to her extensive knowledge and compassion for animals. In the show, The Little Couple, viewers know that Jen and Bill always tell Will and Zoey to follow their dreams. What she does with her life in the years to come will thus be intriguing to watch. In the midst of getting things ready for summer and helping out Zoey Klein with their animals, Jen Arnold broke some terrible news to her fans of the little couple. So Jen just found out that she has the COVID-19 virus. After receiving good news from her latest exam, she decided to share it on her story. The following was also written by her. "Yep, I'm sick." This is going to completely derail Jen Arnold and her family's summer preparations. Thanks to her training as a doctor, Jen is well equipped to ensure the safety of her loved ones. Everyone hates hearing bad news, yet this is still bad news. At this time, followers of the little couple are spreading good thoughts and prayers. So that Jen and her family can fully appreciate summer, I pray that her recuperation goes off without a hitch. Bill Klein abruptly closes pet boutique. Why? After many were stunned to hear the news, Bill Klein, a member of the little couple, said that the family's beloved pet boutique would be closing. Is there anything we know about the circumstances that caused this unexpected closure, and what exactly transpired? The little couple, Jen Arnold and Bill Klein, own the well-known pet store Rocky and Maggie's. Ever since it first opened its doors many years ago, this store, named after their beloved pets, has been booming. a one-stop shop for all things pet-related. The store is located in Houston, Texas. A wide range of services are available to interested consumers at the store owned by Bill Klein and Jen Arnold. Your furry family members can schedule salon appointments. Additionally, you can find solutions for all of your pet's health and nutrition concerns. In sum, the store has many positive attributes and a dedicated clientele that continues to return for more. Our team has worked tirelessly to clean up and restore the store after yesterday's sad incident. The company stated in an official message from the store and from Bill Klein. In the midst of our final repairs, we apologize if our appearance is bothersome. The store was apparently shuttered for a short period because of some event. However, the specifics of the incident are still unknown, and Bill Klein has been mum on the subject. The store reopened after a brief closure, so that's fantastic news. Things appear to be returning to normal now. Intentionally imprecise details about the incident are being maintained on both Bill Klein's personal page and the official store website, leaving many the little couple fans with questions. Fortunately, the store is now open for business, so whatever went wrong appears to have been resolved swiftly. Commenters continue to speculate about possible outcomes, though. The little couple had a commenter who asked, "What happened? It is highly concerning." Another added, "If he wanted you to know what happened, he would have told you." And a third voice said, "I pray nothing terrible transpired." Everything appears to be back up and running, even though details are still sketchy. There must be some good news here, because whatever happened, it possible did not interfere with company operations for long. In the meanwhile, though, business as usual on the little couple, and many fans are still wondering. Jen Arnold, glad she can walk. What happened? In a recent social media update, Jen Arnold, who plays the role of the little couple, expressed her gladness at being able to walk. Has the ex-TLC star gone through anything that her millions of online followers don't know about? Jen Arnold and Bill Klein, better known as the little couple, are very tough people. Undergoing various surgical treatments is a common occurrence for people dealing with unusual diseases, like Jen and Bill. Jen Arnold and Bill Klein have each undergone several treatments due to the need to replace hips or remove bone fragments, as has happened during their joint medical history. As if coping with her cancer diagnosis and the many operations associated with her unusual disease weren't challenging enough, Jen Arnold was a true fighter. Even younger than Jen, as she was coping with the most of her cancer diagnosis, were Will and Zoey Klein. Even after receiving the devastating news of her cancer diagnosis, Jen Arnold continued to face every challenge head-on. For her strength and optimism in the face of adversity, Jen Arnold continues to receive praise from viewers of the little couple. The courage and perseverance of Jen Arnold, who is both an activist and a survivor, has amazed many of her admirers. Many of Jen's admirers look up to her as an inspiration despite all she's been through getting here. Quite a few individuals were worried when Jen Arnold informed her massive following about the little couple. Taking a stroll on the beach, Jen and Bill Klein were the subjects of a photo that Jen shared. "This is a lovely beach stroll with my honey. I'm so relieved we can still walk," she captioned the photo. Staying together for 18 years and 16 years as a married couple is indeed a blessing. Many viewers of the little couple may have misunderstood the meaning of this, thinking that Jen and Bill are experiencing difficulty walking. However, it appears that they are just grateful for the ability to walk, which is something that many people may take for granted. Over the course of their 18-year relationship and 16 years as a married couple, Jen proudly announced the length of time she and Bill Klein have been together. Fans adore witnessing this happy couple's continued joy in life together, and it's clear they have a lot for which to be grateful. Jen Arnold shares how she's improving lives. Continuing her lifelong commitment to making a difference, Jen Arnold, who previously starred in The Little Couple, is now doing just that. Nonetheless, it's not with infants in her department's neonatal simulators at Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital. Stay tuned to discover her latest exploits. People that are dwarfish can yet hold very powerful occupations. Little People, Big World, and The Little Couple are two TLC shows that contributed significantly to that realization. What shame that many of them had to settle for working in circuses and Curiosity Trip exhibits all those years ago. Although it appears that some individuals still lack awareness regarding the plight of the underprivileged, everyone who follows Jen Arnold knows that she is the epitome of a successful, accomplished professional with a plenty of brains. She had such great success in her chosen medical specialty that she was welcomed back to her alma institution, the University of Miami, where she had begun her career. When she was chosen to be the commencement speaker last year, she felt an overwhelming sense of honor. This ex-TLC star has dual appointments at Harvard University and Boston Children's Hospital. She specializes in teaching medical personnel how to work safely. The quality of life for both doctors and patients is enhanced as a result. This week, she updated her Instagram followers on her other activities. As she sat at her laptop, Jen Arnold proudly displayed a photo of herself holding a mug. According to her caption, "You have to answer the call of fulfilling job, even though it's too late for coffee." Reviewing grants with the goal of bettering the lives of people with disabilities is an incredible opportunity. Many of the Little Couple's admirers were pleased by the projects that kept the TLC star busy late at night. Here are a few remarks from them. "I am pleased. You have my best congratulations. What a relief to finally be beyond this. It is very remarkable, Jen. That you are still fighting for people with impairments is inspiring. What a role model you are for the rest of us. Hey Jenny, you motivate me so much." If you're looking for a community that will help women feel valued and strong, there's one out there. Your life's work, Jen, has been focused on improving the health and prosperity of other people. What a wonderful mother you are. May you and your loved ones always be blessed. Husband Bill Klein gushed over the cute wife of the Little Couple alum in the post comments. That she works hard and takes care of her two teenagers, Zoey and Will, was a reminder to TLC viewers. As an added bonus, her husband reports that she is an exceptional life partner. Are you in favor of Jen Arnold's efforts to assess disability-related funds in order to enhance people's lives? Let us know what you think in the comments section, and stay tuned for further updates about the Little Couple family. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.